Hello, my friends. Welcome to June 2017 Mix Rescue. We're a little bit behind because I was in beautiful Russia for 6 weeks on vacation. So we're going to be doing a double header today. So stick around after we finish this Mix Rescue. I'm going to take some lunch, and then we're going to do an additional Mix Rescue for July 2017. We did the August one a few days ago with Mr. John Brown. So today we've got two songs we're going to do. So for this particular Mix Rescue for June, we're going to be doing a song called Abdicate, and the subscriber is Mr. John Lesko. And John's notes are that overall balance, vocals, and drums are lacking punch, lack of skill / experience. One of my first mixes I did a long time ago, and so I feel though everything is still out of whack. I used what was included in the first generation of the Scarlett Studio Bundle, and I feel like no matter what sort of EQ and compression moves I did, I can never get the vocals to sound finished or gelled. So we're gonna take a look at some of those issues today, and we're gonna help John out and take his song. Now, again, as always on this, I don't have every single plugin he used, but if you've seen a couple of Mix Rescues by now, you guys probably know that I'm a huge fan of, reductionism, meaning sometimes I think we get overcomplicated and trying to break it down, make it a little bit simpler, and seeing what we can get out of it. Because, when it comes to, in my opinion, to like getting something to gel and pop in a mix, I feel like 80% of that is balance and EQ, maybe 90%. And then, dynamics are important, but yeah, I would say probably 80%. So it's really about just getting everything to lock together and find their space. Now, the thing is, sometimes if a performance isn't very good, it can affect the gelling of a mix and, kind of take things out of whack. So amazing performances tend to gel a lot better than ones that are rough and difficult. So we're going to take a look at the song. We're going to see what we can get out of it. And this is going to be fun. So we got like a Southern rock song here. It's called Abdicate. Let's have a listen to John's mix. Listen to some different parts real quick to just get a broad overview. All right, so there's a bunch of different issues and things that I think can be improved when I hear this off the get-go. First thing is we're lacking some clarity in the clean guitars, and they sound nice and rich, but the thing is, because of the context of the mix, like when the vocals come in, we have some like kind of wispy, 90s sounding kind of cool vocals in the verse, and the way the frequencies stack, there's a lot of conflict. And again, we were talking about getting the vocals to gel with the mix, and that's one of his strongest things that he was struggling with most. I think in that case, we got to look at some of the guitars on the clean side across the song and try to build a better sectional dynamic. When it gets to the heavy part, it sounds decent, but it sounds kind of small. It's the only way I can explain it. Like there needs to be some EQ maybe on the guitars a little bit. Another thing I noticed is that the mix is kind of pumping in and out a little bit. Like there's some weird compression, and I can hear it on the 2-bus, or somewhere in there's some pumping, especially on the drums. So we need to go and we need to kind of reevaluate that. So I'm going to try to simplify here I'm going to take a look at this, try to break it down, keep it real simple. I'm going to try to use mostly stock plugins and stuff like that to kind of keep this pretty basic. So let's see what we can do. Let's just go experiment. The fun with Mix Rescue always for me is a lot of times I come on when I do this and I try not to like open up the session and do any preparation. So it's just kind of like the natural impulse as I'm discovering this as you guys right now. We're discovering it together for the first time. So it's kind of fun to fly by the seat of the pants and see where the rabbit hole takes us. So, all right, let's take a look at this session. I mean, I've opened it. I've cleaned it up just a little bit in terms of presentation. Like he had some lanes and stuff for his different vocal takes. But okay, so we got some drums. Let's have a listen. Now, like I said, some of this is going to sound a little bit different than the mix because there's a couple of missing plugins, but... So we got 3 guitars. He's got one in the center, okay. We've got clean guitars. We've got, what is this, cleans delay? Okay, this looks like it's a, maybe not, is this a send or, hold on. Okay. I just got to figure out his routing. Okay, so we got some bass. What do we got going on here? Okay, so he threw this like through a Sans amp and stuff. Okay, cool. I thought his bass was actually pretty good on his original mix. Drums. All right, so it looks like these have been programmed. I may be wrong, but I think they've been programmed in by Easy Drummer. Pump drums, what's going on here? This looks like it's a compressor. Okay, so there's some of our, I think there's some of our pumping that we're hearing. Okay, so he's doing this as a send to pump drums. It looks like he's got everything routed to the drums. Okay, so this is supposed to be like a parallel compression, kind of, it looks like. Okay. I don't think we have the right attack and release, but that's okay. Let's take a look at the vocals here. Faithless nuance conjuring so clearly. Gone away. God! Where's your God? All right, this is going to be fun because the vocals, in my opinion, are a combination of kind of harsh and wispy, meaning like however it was recorded, but they're also muddy. So we're gonna have a hell of a time, I think, getting the vocals right because it presents some unique challenges because we've got a lot of top end that needs to be worked and massaged to get it nice and bright, but we have a lot of mud. So it's like if we cut the mud, it's gonna reveal the top end problems. If we attack the top end problems, we have all the mud. So it's gonna be a really interesting seesaw to see how we're gonna fix those. So okay. All right, so let's just start out structurally here and take a look. I noticed he had put a Sans amp. So let me just get rid of all this stuff here. I have a problem with mix rescues where I always just like to take off all of everybody's plugins. so sorry guys. TSE, here it is. I think it's the bass overdrive. Yeah. All right, so let's start with the Sans amp. I'm gonna turn up the drive a little bit because this to me is kind of like a Southern rock. It reminds me of a little bit of Corrosion of Conformity. I don't know if any of you guys remember that band from like 1994 and stuff like that. So I'm gonna rock a little bit of grit on this and kind of make it a little bit more distorted. Hold on. I like how the Sans amp sounds when I drive it a little bit, so I'm gonna just be abusive. I'm just going to throw a limiter on it. You know, you can use whatever. Yeah, what mix would be a mix without me L1ing it, right? And I just like the control, you know, I mean, I'm just trying to pin the bass down so it doesn't move. So we're just going to start there as like a start. Let's get that going. Yeah, like when I listen to his, okay, so his drums are pumping a little bit in a weird way and they sound kind of thin, but his bass is pretty nice and solid. So I'm just kind of pinning the bass in. We'll leave it there. We'll think about it. Let's go take a look at drums. Hold on. Let me just make sure that, okay, I've saved this just in case we have any stupid crashes or anything. Okay, so we've got some easy drummer kick and snare here. Let's take a look. Just turning everything off. He's got like 2 compressors on this. I don't know if I want to compress the kick, and the reason I say that is because generally when you compress something like a drum, it tends to tighten it up a little bit, and I feel like the kick in his is a little bit too tight and controlled. So we're going to try to make it a little bit more organic and see if we can kind of make it, you know, sing more. I'm just pulling everything off because I'm really interested in just seeing what it all sounds like by itself. Because sometimes, like I said, he might have overmixed his drums trying to get, you know, rolling off all this top. So let's just see what we can get out of it. I mean, I think they'll sound pretty good. What's on the bus here? Man, we got a lot of gates, a lot of clip, a lot of EQ. First things first. Okay, just getting an idea. Let's talk about overheads. I see some automation here. What do we have? A little bit of volume. Okay. I'm also going to get rid of this pump drums thing. I'm going to just nuke it for now. We can take a look at parallel compression just a little bit later. All right, so the first thing I want to do is get a nice controlled overhead sound. And let's see what the overheads sound like. Because this is kind of like a southern rock song, I'm gonna take the overheads and I'm not gonna filter that much out of them. So I like where he'd filtered. I'm gonna leave his filter in. I want to keep a little bit. I want to keep a little bit of bottom. Maybe clean up the mids a little. Let's cut some of the nasty crap out. Some of that 3K. Find something with some cymbals. Widen it up a little bit. All right, that's a lot better sounding. Okay, so let's try to get a little bit of life out of the overheads. They don't need a ton. So let me pull all this stuff out of here. I'm gonna throw a 76 on it. Any 76 will do. It doesn't matter. Let's try the bluey. I'm gonna turn off the analog because it's useless. Let's do a slow attack, fast release. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this on. gives the room just a bit of splat, which is kind of cool. And then I'm going to throw just a general limiter on the top. Just to kind of shoot any overs and control my headroom. Okay, so let me take a look at the rooms. They need some EQ, so I'm gonna crunch these up. You can use any distortion you want. I'm gonna use this thing because this is really awesome for rooms. I'm just gonna go like this. My favorite secret setting for drum rooms. It always sounds cool. It always sounds better to me. Less boring. All right, now let's EQ it. So I just want the rooms to be body and glue and gel. I'm gonna kind of EQ them a little bit mid-rangey. I wanted them to be a little bit distorted. Like I said, you could easily go in and just grab a stock distortion here. So let me turn off Excite just to demonstrate. And distortion, your stock Steinberg distortion. So, it sounds cool, like same kind of thing. But I prefer the Excite distortion. Okay, so let's EQ these drums a little bit, clean them up, and or the rooms, and then we're gonna go in. We're gonna start building like an overhead sound with the kick and snare in. Kind of get this thing bumping. So. I want to use some of that bottom end, but I just want to tighten it a little bit. Trying to get rid of that harshness, right? Just want the mid-range, and then I'm going to tighten up the mid-range a little bit. So I just kind of want it to sound scooped, fat, and punchy. So when I bring it in, it just adds some length and some size to the rooms. Back off my low pass filter just a little bit. I might have overdone it. All right, there we go. There we go. I was pulling like too much top end off the snare, just a little bit. Okay, so let's pump some drums here and see what's up. All right, so we've got a raw kick. I'm not going to compress the kick, but what I am going to do is I'm going to clip it. And I just want to turn it up. You could use G clip. I'm going to use this one. Clip up my snares. Let's see. Here, I'll use G clip. Not in love with this kick, but I need to think about why I don't like it and what I want it to sound like. So let's take a look. It's okay. It's not horrible. Maybe it's in the snare. Just check the routing on this. God. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Oh, fat kicks ascend. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this fat kick thing and just keep it simple, no reverb. Okay. I misunderstood the routing, so I'm going to grab the clip. I was wondering why it was so quiet. Just going to clip it up a little bit to make it more in your face. I'm going to bring up the volume. All right. Now let's get a snare in here. We'll keep his gate. I'm gonna get rid of his parallel compression saturation thing. I'm also gonna get rid of his reverb. We'll deal with that soon. Right now, like I said, I just want to keep it real simple and then see where we go. We see what we get when it's simple and just kind of keep it basic and see if it improves it. And then if it needs more fancy stuff, we'll add more fancy stuff. But always just start real simple and then add on to that. So let's not overcomplicate things yet. All right, so this snare is kind of splatty. Let's EQ it a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of beef. This is kind of a cool trick I'm going to do here in a second if you guys want a fun EQ thing to play with. Hold on, I need high pass too. You can take this shelf here and you can kind of find the resonant peak and boost it. So we don't want to hype it too much, but you know, I'm just giving it a little bit of body. Now let's see what this crack snare is here. Try the same thing, just a little bit of not low shelf. Just good to give it just a little bit of punch, but not too much. Okay, so let's play with the blend and see what sounds good and what doesn't. Let's get the kick in here. Up here, I'm playing with the transpose button and just the pitch on the snare sample because they're a little out of tune. I actually like it tuned down a little bit more. It feels like a little bit more rock to me. So, all right, let's bump this for a second and see what a drum sounds like. Okay, this is why they invented room mics, because it feels really separated right now, and I'm trying to figure out why the kit feels like that. So let's give it a little bit of room mic. Much better. I'm gonna just throw a little bit of a limiter on the room mic so it's a little bit less dynamic. The overhead's down a little bit. Let's just kind of start around there. Okay, let's take a look at the toms. I think I'm going to do some parallel compression. I don't do parallel often, so let's mix it up this month here and have a little bit of fun. So we're going to send this to pump drums here. Let me put the automation on. Let me get this thing jacked, ready to go. All right, so first things first, I'm going to throw a little bit of bus compression on this. So he's got some ones that he likes. I'm just going to use... I'm going to use one that I like. Damn it. I hate it when you do that. Just barely giving it a little bit of glue, not really hitting it that much, you know, just kind of tapping the needle, but you can hear how it glues the drum mix together just a little bit. Very subtle, very, very subtle. Now let's do the pump drums here. Let me think. I'm gonna mute everything else out first. That's why I love folder tracks in Cubase. Like when I just want to look at drums and not a bunch of stuff, I can hit one button. And it all goes away. Okay, so let me save, and let's take a look here at the parallel compression. So, I gotta think. There's a really cool compressor by Audio Damage called Rough. Do I have it? Oh no, okay, I don't have it installed. It doesn't work at Cubase 8. It's called Rough Rider, and it's really awesome. Okay, let's try this. Let's just try anything. Let's try plus 10 dB, and see if we can get this thing bumping. So we're sending pretty hard. We're going to do a fast release. Let's annihilate a hardcore ratio like 10 to 1. Okay, let's see what happens. I don't know, I'm not really feeling it too much. Let's try like a 76. See how that feels. A lot of people like the black one on drums. I don't know why I like the blue one so much, but I just do. Okay, so let's slow attack, fast release. Let me try the VMR ones. Virtual Mix Rack. Just looking for something a little bit punchier. I don't know. The 10 dB, I don't know, it wasn't as cool. Like when I do parallel on my analog ones, my analog blues, I dig into them really aggressive and they get super punchy. Okay, hold on. My computer needs to think. It always takes a little while to load VMR for me. I usually, if I'm mixing analog, I love to use parallel compression on my blue stripes. They have a cool distortion to them, and they're super punchy and really aggressive. So I want to see if I can try to recreate some of that in the box. Give it a second. It is not liking VMR today. Well, in the meantime, if you guys got questions, we're going to answer them in a little bit here. Okay, there it is. Just put a Q in the box. So a bracket, Q, bracket, and then ask your question, and I'll hit questions a little bit later. Okay, so let's grab some of this VMR stuff here as it loads up. Where's like the stock and standard? Yeah, I never tried this Monster. Is this what kind? Have you ever used this, Joe?
Like all buttons in.
Is it? Okay, let's try the Monster. I've never used it before. I already like that way better. See, that's more the sound I was looking for. Just something that's got really, you know, just ultra big sounding, gritty, brings up the room compression. All right, that's cool. Let's use that. Let's rock that. That sounds great. All right, so I'm going to turn this down, and then let's balance this in. flattens up our kick and our drums a little bit. It's sounding more rock. Like when I go to his drums, they're really clicky and kind of metal sounding. Like that kick would be great if we were mixing like Decapitated or something, something like really metal. They're over compressed a little bit, so I'm trying to just get a little bit more natural room and relax the drums a little bit and make them feel more like a 90s rock. Not totally in love with the snare yet, but we'll see. Maybe I need more mids. Try adding some distortion to this. Sometimes this thing is really awesome for drums. Got better harmonics. All right, let's try that. I'm into it. Let's see what the bottom snare. Sounds ridiculous. Okay, let's take a look at the toms now. So we've got, what do we got? Three toms. He's got them pan center. Interesting. I'm just going to go, I'm going to pan, I believe hold on, where's my hi-hat? I got to see what perspective this is panned to. Okay, it's panned audience. Okay, so that's an important note. Always check your perspective where you're drumming. So I'm going to go like 100, 100 and like soft pan like 30. Because I hate soft panning. Sorry. We're doing that on Mix Rescue. Or sorry, I nailed the mix the other day with John Brown, Joe, and he it's funny because Brown, like, he soft pans his guitars and everything, and we were just giving him shit the whole time. I'm like, John, there's only one setting, dude, and it's like that. And he's like, no, man, I want it to kind of just open up. Like, no, like that. Brown's a great guy, man. That was a great nail the mix we had the other day in Orlando. We had a lot of fun. John is a swell chap. All right, let's work on this tom here. This sounds like turn off the compressor. I hate compressors on toms most of the time. Let's look at the EQ. I'm just going to move where he's got the EQ. He's got the right idea. Clean up the mids. There you go. Get a little more bottom in there. Okay, that sounds better. Let's take a look at tom number 2. Let's see what we got going on here. Soft pans guitars, dude. It sounded great. Yeah, now he has a lot of the upper mids here scooped. And on these lower toms, like, I don't know, it just sounds too thin. Oh boy, this is an abysmally bad sounding drum. Get the cricket out of it. Better. Can I get some mids in this? Oh, he's got a multi-band compressor. That's all right, so the multi-band screwed up more things than it fixed. Sounding better. Okay, let's take a look at the low tom now and see what happens. Gone, gone. Yeah, it's nice and bright and tight. Okay, let me get some tom volume going here on this floor tom, or this high tom, rack tom. I just kind of clip gamed them up, you know. What's up with the hi-hat here? Let me just check this out. Yeah, I mean, probably leave a little bit more body in it and pan it. All right, it's a little better. All right, I'm liking it. I think it sounds good. Let's take a look here at our bass. Let's kind of just massage that in and see what's up. And then we'll have to probably do some EQ or something. Bass dup. Get rid of that track because there's nothing on it. When I hear this bass, the first thing I think of is it needs EQ. So let's keep the distortion on. We'll EQ post distortion pre-limiter. I'm gonna go over here, grab Q2. You can use any bloody EQ you want. I'm gonna run full bandwidth bass, no splitting for me this time. And I'm just gonna pull out like high air and try to find the spot where the bass and the kick above below thing. So let's have a listen. Better riff. Okay, right there at 62 on that high pass. That to me feels like it's the spot where the bass, at least in my sub here, the bottom of the bass and the bottom of the kick kind of gel naturally, and they feel good, and they feel like they're supporting each other and pushing together and pulling together. So let's go in now maybe and do a little bit of mid-range work. Also, I'm gonna play with some top end here. Tighten the bass up so it's a little bit more dense frequency wise. It's not taking up as much mid-range room, but I'm compensating for the lack of mids by adding some upper mids and just basically redistributing this from here into the audible spectrum, because to me it sounds just as audible, but it sounds tight and it takes up less space, right? So have a listen. Notice how the bass gels more into the drums when I do that? It's like we're just redistributing this block of frequencies here, this 500 honk, taking it out and then making up for, you know, the audibility of it by just kind of moving it up to like 2K. So the bass feels just as loud, but what the thing is that's cool that we're not getting is, like I said, it's a little bit cleaner sounding, which is nice. So let me look at what's up on the mastering chain real quick. I need to see what's going on. Okay, I don't have that. I've never used this bloody plugin before, but it looks like it would do the same thing as like LinMB, so let me just try to figure it out. Well, first things first. All right, I need a compressor. I'm just going to use the SSL comp. I need to check something. Okay, cool. Reference out is coming through. All right, let's get some compression on this. So I like a slow attack, fast release, which is a little bit pumpy at times, but it's got more energy. Some of you guys were asking me about gain staging the other day in the speed mixing course, and I know that some of you guys are members, and some of you enhanced people may not be. So I just wanted to show you something. When I mix into my templates, I've got I base it off my kick drum settings, but basically when I go through all my buses and stuff, my kick drum is set in a way that when I load up the mix, everything is hitting around -6. So when the vocals and everything get in, it should be somewhere around here on the meter before it hits my mastering chain. So I think that's a good rule of thumb when you're setting up your templates and gain staging and stuff like that and trying to set up something that's fast is like, knowing on average, for example, your kick drum and your snare drum are going to come in at some sort of like good average level. Like, so, maybe this drum here is, let's take a look at a meter. It's hitting without any EQ or volume automation, like -10. It's at a pretty healthy level. Let me put all the stuff on that I just took off. So, you're going to be hitting between -10 to -6 on a lot of recorded things. So if you have it set up for that range, then hits your bus compressor. Now, I set this one up a little bit different in gain stages than I would normally do, but, for me, you can use any bus compressor you want, but, where I'm tapping the needle like 1 to 3 max. And then the output of that feeds into the bus, the 2-bus, and then I've got my 2-bus compressor gain staged. So when it comes out, and I unsolo like the kick, everything else to the kick. So like the snares kind of balance in and the guitars and stuff. Everything should be sitting like right around here. So that's like what I mean by having your template set up with good gain staging is you got to experiment. It's going to take a while on a lot of mixes and adjustments on the levels. But, when I send a mix and Joe sends me a mix, and I open it up on my desk for the first time, if I take off all the mastering, it's hitting right here. Right in that ballpark. It might be a dB hot, it might be a dB or two shallow. And, maybe I need to open up the stereo bus compressor or something because it just tap the threshold and adjust the makeup or something. But the fact is it takes 10 seconds to fix that as opposed to having to go and set up each one of those plugins and try to gain stage them all correctly. So the more of that stuff you can figure out where you like things to sound and hitting plugins different ways. And again, there's no free lunch. I can sit here and tell you about it, but you guys actually have to put in the time and learn how to do this stuff. It's very important though to sit down and just like, if I'm going to use a Kramer Pi on the bus, let's try all the different gain staging levels. Let's see what sounds good where. And, let's go read the manual. Okay, maybe if I want to use an 1176, do I like to bomb it or do I like to just tap it or what kind of attack and release times? It depends what kind of sound you're going for. But sit down and figure out what you like and then figure out where it operates the best with the type of levels you get on average when you're working and you're recording and you're mixing. And then set it where you want it to be and how you want it to be. And, if you can pop it in on a template, it's already got the correct attack and release and input and output. And all I got to do is open up your stuff. So let's just say I threw in this kick, then all I would do is open this up, drop on the clipper, or, in your case, if you don't use a clipper, you can just adjust the fader. But I would just take whatever type of volume or clip gain I had and move the necessary channel up to the volume where then it's hitting the drum bus at the right thing, which is then once it hits the drum bus at the right level, it'll be hitting the stereo bus at the right level, and the mix should pretty much be right there. And then it's just mixing everything else in ear, and that if as long your kick is hitting where it needs to be, you can use that as your anchor and your bass. You can throw in your snare. Yeah, you might tweak the levels a little bit, but at least you're going to be like 90% there, and that's kind of the point. So I hope that. I hope that I forgot who asked that the other day was really curious about it. But I hope if you're watching this Mix Rescue, which you should be, because if you have speed mixing, you're a member of Enhanced, most likely, and you definitely have seen. You got a free month of Enhanced, so you probably have the chance and the opportunity to watch this. So that's what I'm talking about when I do that. So it's very important for you guys to think about when you're setting up your templates for mixing, to think about your gain staging and just finding where each plugin sounds best. So yeah, I might have to clip. If I'm going to clip, I might have to clip one kick up 10, maybe another one 20. Maybe I don't need to clip one up at all. It just depends on how hot it comes in. But you can adjust clip gain in the session, or you can adjust it with a fader, or you can adjust it, with a clipper or whatever you want to use. But the bottom line is, once I have this gain structuring figured out, for whatever plugin I'm using on my bus here, and I have it set to a certain output and a certain threshold, I know that as soon as whatever I have to do to get my kick and my snare on the front end to tap into the sweet spot of where I want it hitting, and then having that output at that part set to feed into the bus at the correct level, and then I'm having the input and the output in the sweet spot of whatever's on my bus. Like, guys, that's that's it. That's part of the sauce. Now, if I need to use EQ or if I want this or that, like, that's all cool. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is just simply having your template set up your gain staging and a couple of compressors that you're going to use will save you a ton of time when you're mixing. So I hope that clarifies that question I saw in the group the other day and the forum. So, okay, so let me throw a couple things more on. I'm just going to throw on some max bass. Just because I think max bass is super dope on 2-bus sometimes. What? Oh boy, max volume, wrong. Only Charco knows how to use max volume and get away with it and make it sound great. Just gonna throw it on a medium preset. And max bass can make the mix sound a little bit softer if you're not careful, which isn't always a bad thing, but it makes it sound wider, but sometimes it makes it sound a little bit softer, so you need to be aware of that. But in this case, I want a little bit more soft. I'm going to throw on tape. I kind of just want to start mixing into this mastering chain here because... Give it a second to load. There we go. Brand new computer, and things have load times. Oh, cool. I already have this defaulted exact. Okay, so I did a little trick in here. If in Cubase, this is really dope. You can go and you can save your default preset when it opens the plugin and it's already gain stage. So this thing, I always bring the output down. I use a certain type of tape. So 15 IPS, half inch 2-track, and then I like this FG 456 tape. And I've got the output unlinked and where I want it, and then I should have noise reduction. And yeah, so I've got everything set on this plugin exactly how I love it. So when I open it up, it's already loaded like a preset. Okay, so I want a little bit of tape. Also want to get virtual mix rack on this thing. So while we wait for VMR to load, there we go. I'm going to throw the bus. I'm going to rock some VCC on this mix. Again, you don't need all this stuff if you want to do it simple. You can use saturation. You can use a lot of different plugins, but these are just some of my favorites. So, again, I'm trying to use nothing too crazy. I like this Trident. It's really good for rock. A lot of people like the 4. The API is kind of cool, and so is a Neve. I like the Trident. There's something about the EQ curve that just I like. It's a little scooped. It's cool. All right, so let's start there, and then I'm just going to get a limiter. So FGX. Use FGX because it's very open sounding. Ozone, I think, will be a bit too pinched for a mix like this. So, I must have updated this because all my presets are gone. Okay, cool. That's fine. Let's tweak. ITP for me always needs to sit around +7. That's the sweet spot for me, in my opinion, where I think it sounds good best. Okay, dither. Life our drums already have. So, all right, so we'll start there. We've got a good, decent little drum sound going, and we got a decent, bass in terms of the levels and stuff. Let's not get too bent out of shape. Let's go take a look at our guitars. Now, I want to do something right out of the gate. I'm going to split my guitars. I'm going to duplicate this. I want to split my cleans and my heavies. Can't spell. I'm going to split my cleans and my heavies right away so I can figure out what's up. And then let's get our clean. Because I really want to go to town on those cleans like I was talking earlier. So I'm going to mute that, get rid of that. Now let's take a look at this heavy guitar, make sure it's not sending to this silly delay thing. Okay, that's kind of a cool octave. Okay, so this is important. I did this earlier on the snare. Up here in Cubase, if you grab the mouse wheel, you see this transpose. You can change the pitch of things. As well as fine-tune the sense and semitones. So, okay, so we got the two guitars, left and right. Let's start with those. Let's try to get this right. I'm going to get rid of the EQ. Let's try to get the left and the right guitar right first, and then figure out how the heck we're going to get that center guitar in there, because that could be Mud City or it could be really cool. Now, it's neat that he's got it down an octave, but again, you know, I've got the Sans amp pretty gritty, so that might make up for some of that. Let's take a look. Right guitar is a little bit hot. Let's drink it down a bit until it sounds even. You got to be careful with meters. Like if you look at the meter on this, it doesn't look perfectly balanced, but peak versus RMS are very deceiving. You got to just listen. Don't look at the meter. Meter makes it look like it's a little off, but it just, one sounds a little bit denser, or, you know, it is what it is. All right, so I'm just going to throw a little limiter on this. A little bit. I'm going to throw an SSL EQ channel. This is the wrong one. Can't use that one. I'm sure it's a great plugin, but it's just wrong. Filter out any rubbish. All right, let's EQ in context. We need some. The guitars to me are really dark and really muddy, and they need to analog off. The guitars are really dark and muddy, and they need some life, but we can't get them too bright, right? Until I have my bass way too dang loud already. So let's bring it down a little bit. I get him to sound kind of classic rock. So I boosted a little bit of like 5 up on top, but I've pulled some like 7 out of them, and pulled a little bit of 5 out of them. If I get too close to 1, it gets a little bit honky sounding. So I'm just trying to find that balance. I'm also trying to do something that's important to note, and I've talked about this a lot in metal mixing, but I'm trying to gel the top end of the guitar to the attack of the bass, which remember we did that 2K boost up there? So I'm trying to find a spot where it kind of like wraps the guitars, and the 2K on the guitar fits with the bass. It just has that like nice, nice 90s kind of like, again, corrosion of conformity kind of guitar tone, you know? It's kind of up this alley. That sounded a lot closer. Let me add a little bit of spot EQ in the mids. There's something that's a little honky I got to pull out. seeing how it feels if I pull out like low mids, like 1K honk, and then a little bit of the upper mids. Every time it feels two scoops. So I'm just trying to figure out which set of mid range, like where in the mid range am I going to cut that it's going to really reveal the guitar and sound a little bit cleaner and keep it nice and gelled. It feels a little disconnected. Make it a little more relaxed sounding so it doesn't pinch the ear. The other thing I'm doing when I'm playing with the balance of this guitar is I'm trying to find the spot in the balance where it kind of gels. So when you balance, and I'm working on actually a really cool fast track on balancing. But when you balance, think of attention. I call it the zone of focus, right? So if I turn up the guitar is too quiet, it's going to be noise, right? You can't hear it. It's just contributing to the noise floor. Bring it up, it's going to start becoming like I don't want to call it like a background or a supporting element. Kind of in there, but it's kind of not. As we start turning it up, it's starting to hit like a zone of clarity right now, where the element becomes clear and you can hear it. And then if I keep turning it up, it'll start becoming a lead. Turn it up too loud, it's gonna destroy your face. So what I'm listening for, I'm trying to find that sweet spot where it's like it dials in and it makes it gel, and all of a sudden like the balance of it disappears and it kind of just starts to feel like a song. So let's have a listen. My snare is too loud for sure. So, we're going to try to get some of these macro balance things. I feel like the kick is pretty good. Snare, on the other hand, is all over the bloody place. So. Bass is a little bit fat. Let me just EQ it a little bit to disconnect it, or separate it a little bit more. Something in the low mids that kind of feels a little bit, and it could be a little bit tighter. That's super subtle, but to me it tightens it just a little bit without disconnecting it. So again, when we're trying to get something to gel, it's a really subtle science and art that takes many years, and no matter how long you've been mixing, you're always going to struggle with it. So it's kind of one of those things that if you take out just a little bit too much, like it kind of unlocks, but if you don't take it out at the right frequency, it unlocks. But if you find just the right amount, it kind of like takes it and just tightens it up. So that's sounding better. Let me take the volume of it down now. Definitely getting there. There is a little bit of a honk when I A-B in my guitar that I want to pull out. So let me go fishing. There's a masking frequency up there. This is what's cool about referencing is you don't want to reference too much, but sometimes it can pull out a quick deficiency. Like you flip back, you're like, there's something I don't like in my guitar. Cleaner sounding. There's something in a cymbal I want to pull out. Is it the room? Definitely the room. Studio EQ. See how much that cut really relaxes my ear. Listen. All right, cool. Let's take a look at these clean guitars now and see what's up. So I'm gonna put a little limiter on them. I know he's got them compressed. I'm looking for more peak control than compression. See how much that one cut tighten up the guitar? Let me throw it in context. Listen. There's just something a little harsh in there that I have to pull out. I have to find it. So pull out the honk, which was not gelling in the bass. That's something important we need to do that I'm going to take care of right away here. We're going to automate down the kick. Going to back off the bass a little bit here, just because the bass is pretty savage. You know, let the clean guitars come through. You need to create a sectional dynamic. Even that overhead is really brutal. Balance is tricky. Room mics that are so loud. Minus 3.21. They sound good, just a little bit. You know, kind of 90s Radiohead to me. Like, remember Creep? Remember that song? You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to automate some thump on the kick drum a little bit here, just like a low shelf. And what I'm trying to do, you know, part of getting a song to gel, not only in terms of like getting the mix to gel, but the whole mix, is creating sectional dynamics. So different parts of the song feel like they gel. Like right now, this part isn't fully gelling yet, but like when I got the guitars and like the southern parts gelling and bumping pretty good. So what I'm trying to do right now is use a little bit of basic volume automation, a little bit of EQ to kind of just get things to gel a little bit better here. So I want to pull some bottom off the kick. All right, then we're going to get it jacked later. So let's go like this. All right, so I just did that automation right. Let's pull this biatch over here. Did I just use like the 90s biatch? Did I go Snoop Dogg? Dude, I'm kind of jet lagged, man. I'm tired. I flew like, I didn't really fly that far yesterday from Orlando, but I don't know. I'm just feeling a little blah today. I gotta get jacked. Okay, let me just take the damn snare down. Boy, I should have just took the whole bloody drum bus, huh, at this point. Got a lot more clarity going on right now. Let me check these hits. Pock 'em. I missed the fill. And then it picks up. It's going to hit a little bit harder. The only thing is, I think the kick is just a little subby, so I'm going to back off just a C here. Yeah, nice. Okay, let's pop this into the second verse. You know how nice it is to not be mixing metal right now? I mean, I keep doing that to you guys. I know you guys love your metal, but we got so much of it on Nail the Mix, and we have Daniel frickin' Bergstrand coming on next month. Like, holy shit. Is that going to be amazing? Mix Rescue is kind of an opportunity here for me to kind of show you guys how to mix other stuff. What a concept, right? Yeah, it's weird. Every time we're like, let's not do metal, everybody's like, yeah, we don't want metal. But then everybody's like, dude, where's the metal, man? So, you know what I mean? Like, we try to mix it up for you guys, and there's a lot of you guys to please. So, Mix Rescue, I feel like, definitely gives us a chance to kind of really branch out and explore some stuff. So, I try to keep it interesting and mix it up every time I do this. So hopefully you guys are into it and appreciate that. It totally reminds me of something off of like White Zombie, La Sexorcisto. That's a great record. Yeah. Dude, Rob Zombie, man. Like, how badass is Rob Zombie? I mean, think about it. How many other people do you know that have made an entire career off of just saying, yeah? I mean, he does have the best yeah in rock and roll. Let's be honest. The automation. I didn't put it exactly on the dot because it felt like it needed to start fading out a little bit before the downbeat. For those of you wondering why I just did what I did, I know somebody's going to ask. This needs some surgery. Gone. I'm going to get rid of his EQ. Let's see what we can do with this. Up the sound, Hell yeah. Should I be like John Brown and do the CLA 3A? It's a great limiter. I don't want to compress this. I'm just going to leave it where it is. It sounds good to me. I'm in. Good vibrato on the guitar, man. I like his vibrato. It's nice and smooth. All right, let's automate this down. I mean, we're getting there pretty quick on this, guys. Let me see what's up with this. That sounds like a disaster to me, so let me think about how to make this not a disaster. So dynamic comes down. All right, no. We're gonna go like 80% overheads here. So I'm going to go for a light kick. I'm going to pull off the low end. I've got the overheads and the cymbals feeling kind of better. We'll bring the low end back into the kick on this build up. Let's get some direct. And he used all room, but I think that was a mistake. Let's work on this snare. Same kind of thing. I think we need some snare, and then we need to do a build at the end of the bloody snare to make this more interesting. Add some toms in here. Oh, bloody hell. Come on. Do it. Do it, Cubase. Do it. Why? Come on. Really? You would think by now they would have... God, why is it why? Okay, fine. I swear they made automation drawing a little bit worse in the newer versions of this. Maybe I'm crazy, but it just feels like that some of the draw functions that I'm used to are a little bit different. Steinberg, fight me. Let's just get these jacked up a little bit and bring in a little bit of heat. All right, now I want a bit more room, but without annihilating the mix. right, so I got the build up there. I brought up the room mics a little bit to make the automation a little bit better. Well, that's balanced a little bit better. Like if you listen to the original mix here. God, it's so damn loud. Okay, so I got to get my master up a little bit, but we'll get there in a second. Mastering like a bitch, so let me turn it up. We're going to go for a short break. Joe, do we have any questions lined up?
Yes, we do.
I can't speak English after 6 weeks of speaking Russian.
All right. First question is from Gio. He's asking, Joel, do you have any advice on making sure your kick and snare don't hit above a certain peak level, especially on random hard snare hits? Would you use a clipper?
Absolutely, I would. I mean, you could use a limiter, but the problem is a limiter is going to defeat the transient. So I'd rather cut the transient off at a fixed level. So if you have too many like peaks, I mean, this is especially true if you're using like natural drums or like a kick drum that's really dynamic, you know, where it's got like a lot of like ba 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 ba, you know, it's got a lot of like spikes. Definitely, I think a clipper is a great way to shave some of that off and average out your level a little bit on peak without blowing up your buses and things like that while still keeping the dynamic. So yeah, I think a clipper, because you can always clip down and then output adjust. Next question.
Yeah, Yeti wants to ask, you really approve Rough Rider as a parallel compressor? It always sounds too dark for me, and they have released version 2 now.
What's his name?
Yeti.
We're gonna fight over this to the death. Grab a stick, bike rack, 2 o'clock. No, actually, you know, Audio Damage Rough Rider, I really like. That's a pretty sick software compressor for a free one. I used to use that a lot as a parallel. I mean, if it sounds too dark, then just brighten it up. I mean, the thing is, guys, you got to look at it like this. What's up with tools is that everybody's going to hear differently. So just because I like a plugin, you might hate it. It might absolutely not work for your workflow. And guess what? It's okay. Just like I might like a snare drum that's a little bit brighter. You might not. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's audio. It's a subjective art thing. And part of you building and maintaining your own artistic styling and your own professional style is to find things and tools that get you excited. So I like Rough Rider. You don't have to like it. I think it's cool. I think it's worth trying at least. That's cool that you're familiar with it and you've tried it. So yeah, I mean, try to look at these as tools. You know, you may not like the Phillips screwdriver. You might like the flathead better. I might hate the flathead and I might like screwing stuff in with the Phillips. So, you know, it's at the end of the day, as long as we can both get the job done, I guess that's all that matters.
Gio has another question. He's asking, Joel, can you go over the reasoning for filtering the bass pre-limiter and then EQing it after the limiter?
Well, you guys ask a lot of questions. Let me think about how to word this. Okay, so you have to think about, do you want to EQ the compression or compress the EQ? In this case, I wanted to do both. So I wanted to pull out the sub out of the bass before I limited it, because the sub is going to have a drastic effect on the detector of the compressor. And I wanted to just kind of thin it out a little bit and then limit it up. Now the limiting, here's the rub, is that the limiting with L1 adds a little bit of low-mid harmonic saturation, I feel like sometimes. So to counteract that, I came in and I did some post EQ, because I wanted to thin the bass down a little bit to where, to me, it was ready to be limited. Then as soon as I limited it, I then assessed and said, okay, it still needs a little bit more EQ, in my opinion. I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's not the most scientific answer, but to me, that in my brain is how I wanted to achieve the sound that I wanted to achieve.
Okay.
He doesn't get any more questions. I'm kidding.
Yeti has another question. Also, does it make a difference if you just trim it before it hits the master bus, like a trim plugin in the first slot of the master channel? I think he's referring to the gain staging when we were talking about.
I mean, yeah, you can do that absolutely in Cubase for sure. I'm not sure about Pro Tools and stuff like that, but basically, you'll notice I try to keep a lot of faders. Maybe this isn't the best mix, but again, this also isn't my mix, so I try to keep my faders as close to 0 as possible. Yeah, this is a really bad example. I'm lying as I'm saying this, and not by intention. Yeah, okay. I mean, like I said, keep in mind this isn't fully my mix, but I try to keep as much of my stuff close to zero because it's easier to automate Yeti. So to counteract that in the way I usually gain structure, and I did it a little bit different on the Pi because, like I said, I'm working to somebody else's workflow and how their brain thinks. So usually I'll be overshooting the bus by like 8 to 12 dB, so I will adjust the pre-input gain of my 2 bus, which in Cubase is located right here, this thing. Oh, he's already got it at -3. So yeah, you can gain structure it however you want, as long as, like I said, that value for me, pre-mastering, should be hitting right about there. Okay, like if I take off the limiter now, so we've been mixing, what's going to happen? See, what's up? Like it's just sitting right there. Remember I got that balance, like I had just my kick and snare kind of when we set that. Look where it's at. And now it's in the red where it belongs. Yes. So yeah, I think that's a very important thing. You have gain structure, right? And the way to think about gain structuring is in terms of signal to noise. So why gain structuring is important is you have a noise floor down here. And if you're sloppy with gain structuring, that noise floor starts to creep up and you're losing the resolution and clarity of your recording. So all things being equal, if you and I were the exact same mixer and came up with the exact same mix, if you did a really shitty job at gain structuring and I did an amazing job at it, what would happen when we get to the final product, if we had the same identical mix, I mean, I guess physically that's impossible, but just hear me out in the analogy. My work is going to sound a lot better because it's just going to be a lot cleaner sounding. There's going to be all that bullshit and all that noise in there. So that's why it's important. They call that nominal operational gain structuring. It's an important concept, especially in analog where each piece has real noise. I mean, digital, everything's pretty quiet, but imagine if you had the analog button on all of your waves on and it was just hiss city, like that's going to build up. So you want to try to get the highest amount of signal to noise ratio you can across every single source and get the best average. That's what they mean by nominal operational gain structuring. So whatever you need to do on whatever buses, whether it's input trims, whether it's limiters, whether it's like, jumping in the studio and just doing karate, whatever you got to do to get it done is what I'm saying. So try to have fun with it. So yeah, next question.
All right, and our last question is from Yeti again. Any tips on the overhead/room relationship, balance, gel, etc.?
Absolutely. So you'll have noticed, Yeti, when I was mixing this earlier, this is tricky because I try to get the rooms whittled down to where they add a lot of, that's why I like that DF Excite, a nice crunch, and the rooms have like, they sound like they add ambience and space and size and glue. And that's what the distortion and the crunch really helps with. And then EQ kind of all the high frequencies and anything harsh or like boxy out of it. Then I try to take it up against the overheads. And I used a pretty full band overhead in this. Usually I scoop out, but in this kind of song, I feel like it needs it because you're using Easy Drummer and it sounds kind of disconnected, like the samples he chose. I would have chose just different samples and built in some like rooms and stuff on the snare and the kick. But again, we're doing a mix rescue. I wanted to try to like not do that. Now the next mix I'm going to do, I might change some samples and we might have some fun. But for now, for our purposes here, I'm trying to show you guys different scenarios because every time you have a different scenario, we're teaching you how to solve it and think about different problems. So when it comes to balancing in rooms, like once I kind of get it EQ'd where I feel like it's right, I'll be able to raise the fader up and then feel like where it really starts adding glue. Again, I'm in the zone of focus, so I don't necessarily hear that there's a room, but it's like kind of like raising the ambience and like the liveness of the drums. I mean, we can go do it right now if you want. Okay, so I'm at -3.5. Okay, so it sounds kind of disconnected. Let's raise it up. Starting to come together. You're starting to get into the zone of focus. It's really taking over and it's starting to dominate the guitars and stuff. I've got it. It feels like it's gelling pretty good and it's kind of just in there. So you got to really play around with that a lot. I really enjoy room mics because I think they're a fantastic weapon, but you got to be very careful because there's a lot of weird compounding cymbal frequencies that can build up and stuff like that. I mean, normally this is where I love DF Clarify. We made this plugin specifically to combat those types of problems. I didn't use it today because I said I was going to try to go a little bit more stock, which, I've done some stock and some non-stock, but regardless of all that stuff, there are tools out there designed to make it a little bit easier, but at the end of the day, you still got to listen with your ear, and you got to be like, okay, is like what's building up? Is the cymbal harsh, or is the room harsh, or is it just like an aggregate of both of them kind of just being a jerk at the same time? So you gotta experiment. But the cool thing about rooms is like if you get them in there just right, and I wanted a little bit more because this song is like a nice rock song. But if you get your room just right, man, it's like life or death. It's like the difference between your drums sounding like, especially when you have sample drums and like programmed. It's literally the difference between like the drums sounding like a kit in a room played by a dude, and the drums sounding like drums in space, which is completely ungelled and disconnected from each other. So, do we have any more questions? All right, guys, we're going to take like a 10-minute break. So go drink, use the potty, whatever you do. And I'll see you like in 10 minutes. We'll come back. We'll finish rescuing this mix, and we'll get these vocals and rock and roll.
Tired of your cymbal mixes sounding like they're underwater? We have clarified. The only plugin designed to let your cymbal mix cut through the so you can rock the pit.
In a world of thousands of transient processors. Wait, what? Really? In a world of about like 10 transient designers, well, we think, a new beacon of hope begins to emerge, rising out of the ashes of its fallen victims. It's DF Trans! Where once drums were destined to sound weak and pathetic for all of eternity, our hero comes and brings new justice to the tired and worn-out warriors, shaping transience into excellence, seeking victory with every twist of the knob. DF Trans conquers all who dare to challenge his might. DF Trans, flawless victory. Wait, what? Really? In a world of about like 10 transient designers, well, we think, a new beacon of hope begins to emerge. Rising out of the ashes of its fallen victims, it's DF Trans! Where once drums were destined to sound weak and pathetic for all of eternity. Our hero comes and brings new justice to the tired and worn-out warriors, shaping transience into excellence, seeking victory with every twist of the knob. DF Trans conquers all who dare to challenge his might. DF Trans, flawless victory.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you want to learn how to be a better mixer? I want your songs to sound better. So check out my Creative Live course where I show you techniques that I've developed over the last 10 years. I want to give you the tools you need to create great mixes. Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you want to learn how to be a better mixer? I want your songs to sound better. So check out my Creative Live course where I show you techniques that I've developed over the last 10 years. I want to give you the tools you need to create great mixes.
Tired of your cymbal mixes sounding like they're underwater? We have clarified. The only plugin designed to let your cymbal mix cut through the so you can rock the pit.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you want to learn how to be a better mixer? I want your songs to sound better. So check out my Creative Live course where I show you techniques that I've developed over the last 10 years. I want to give you the tools you need to create great mixes.
Welcome back, my friends, to June 2017 Mix Rescue. The song is... Hold on. The song is Abdicate, and our original mixer is John Lesko. So we are having some fun today, doing some mixes and cleaning this up. So before we hop back into this, pop out vocals and do that stuff, something I want to tell you guys about. You may have heard about this, you may not have, but I know you enhanced guys tend to take your careers a little bit more seriously than the average nail the mixer. So I want to say to you guys, there's something really special we're going to be doing here in December, and that is the URM Summit. And we are so excited about this because we're flying out some really big dogs like Billy Decker and Kane Cherko and Brian Hood. And like, we're going to be sitting down and going through, and it's going to be seminars and hands-on stuff. It's going to be crazy. We're putting together the premier event in audio education. This is going to be the coolest, most informative thing that you're going to do anywhere in the world that anybody else is doing. I'm so excited about it. You guys definitely want to come join us in the summit. We're going to be having tons of fun. Like I said, we've got some amazing speakers. I wrote one of my lectures yesterday, and it's going to be called How to Have an Amazing Career. And it's going to cover so many awesome things. It's crazy. I just looking at the outline. I mean, I might be on stage for like 4 hours. So you don't want to miss this, guys. Like, we've got, it's just going to be incredible. You know, I mean, you get to watch Kane literally sit down and reproduce your songs in front of your face and show you how he would do it and stuff like that. And, you know, you get to watch a master in action, sitting in a room, interacting. I mean, the networking alone is going to be worth it coming to the event, because where else can you sit down with a bunch of really serious, hardcore, like-minded people? You know, this is a great chance for you to build lifelong relationships with people. And, I'll tell you guys, you never know who's going to be the person that's going to blow up or pop or explode. And you know, if it's you or somebody that you meet, you definitely want to, you know, stay in touch with people like that, because if something starts going good for a friend of yours, I'll tell you, they can offload a lot of work into your lap. For example, you know, Joey and I have had a great relationship. I've done tons of mix helping with him, and you know, we've co-mixed a lot of stuff together over the years. And anytime he gets real busy, guess who he calls? He calls me. So think about that for a second. You know, like just developing good relationships with other engineers, you know, it can really be profitable for your business, can really help you get a lot of work and maintain a lot of work and diversify, you know. So it's very, very important to develop and build those relationships. And what better place to do it? You know, where else can you sit down with a guy like Billy Decker in person and talk and, you know, ask questions and learn from his wisdom? Or, you know, Finn McKenty, former director, now he works for us, but former mastermind of the audio channel at Creative Live. You know, he's going to teach you guys so many amazing, important things. So you definitely want to come check out the URM Summit this December. It is going to be nailthemix.com/summit. I highly recommend, because this is the kind of stuff that could really change your life, and in the positive way. I know so many of you guys have had really life-changing experience with speed mixing, at least according to the feedback that I'm getting on direct message and stuff. So I think it's really important for you guys to embrace these opportunities, to invest in yourself, and we're trying to, as hard as we can, to provide the best, most comprehensive stuff and the most forward-thinking things in the industry. And now is the best time to take advantage, because, you know, you only live once and you can never get back the time. And just simply waiting, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So you guys definitely want to hop on that if you want to get really, really serious and really have some fun, because I look forward to meeting you there, hanging out, having a good time, and just nerding out. It's going to be such an amazing experience. So nailthemix.com/summit. Do it. I'll see you there. We're going to have an amazing time together. So let's get back to working on this song. And then after I finish the song, I'm going to do lunch. I'm going to come back and do the July Mix Rescue with a different song. We're going to have a little bit of fun. I've got something kind of cool planned for that. So, all right, let's take a look at vocals. So he was really having a hard time getting his vocals to gel, and they were kind of like muddy, but they're wispy at the same time. You know, they really need some work. So let's see what we can do and see what we're up against and figure out a strategy that's going to work to solve this vocal problem. All right, let me hear what's up.
Across the sea. Oh God, where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me.
Okay, it's kind of cool. He's got like a parallel saturation on it. He's got a delay throw, mono delay, very nice. John, that's a great great, great, great vocal thing. I love mono delays. They're very, very cool. So let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to sit in here and take a look at your verse. Let's see what we got. So I don't have all these plugins, so I'm going to just murder some of this stuff and start a little fresh. First thing I'm going to do is compress these way harder. So you've got lots of spot EQ here. So let me just pull everything off, and then we'll come back and we'll see what's up. So
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway.
I'm going to grab SSL. I'm going to compress the balls out of this 20-to-1.
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning.
Okay, interesting. So what I'm hearing that's interesting is like we've got some hard S's that we're gonna like T's and plosive formant type sounds that are gonna really be difficult. So let's let me try limiting this first, and then let's see what happens when we pull up the limiter.
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes.
All right, we're a little muddy. I'm gonna filter.
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning. Skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray. Faith.
This needs a lot of EQ.
Skyline drawn across the city.
Trying to get the mud, trying to get the honk. Now I gotta get the harsh. You can't win.
Drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning. Skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray.
All right, interesting. Let me try a slightly different approach on here. I'm gonna try linear multi-banding this and see if this does anything good on a broad scale.
Skyline.
I'm so used to having mono or stereo, all my mono stuff on stereo tracks that it's just like a habit at this point. Take the range down.
Skyline across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning.
Okay, this plugin did a freaking awesome job of balancing this vocal out. So what's up here? Let me explain what's happening. So this multi-band compressor, it's kind of set at, you take the range, like how much reduction you can do, and I'm just taking the threshold bars, and I'm taking all the thresholds up and down, right?
Skyline drawn across the city.
Just like its stock state, it has a very neutral curve that it applies, so it kind of really flattens out like a lot of peaks and valleys. And I thought it did a really good job of like conquering the mid-range and kind of bringing out the top end. So let's just dig in hard.
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway.
It is compressing 20 dB, but does it sound good, right?
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway.
All right, I gotta limit this up.
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway.
So I get more gain.
Skyline drawn across the city. Underway.
I'm gonna go reach for the EQ. This is a tough one, you know. Nothing is perfect. So let me come on, off there. Let's throw a de-esser on this. I'm kind of tempted to try out that new Cubase de-esser, but right now I just want to do what works.
Skyline. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray. Faithless new.
All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to get the bloody effects right, because frequency-wise it's decent, but it still doesn't gel 100% yet.
Skyline drawn across the sea. Underway.
Hold on a second, I think I hear a pop and click. Projects, auto fade setting. Oh man, you got to be putting this in. One MS in, one MS in, one MS out. That way when you do this, it doesn't pop. No, that's just a jacked edit. Okay, so let me take a look at this. What has he got?
Underway.
Okay, let me see if I can fix this.
Underway.
There we go. See, I got the fade in now. It's fading out here and fading in, and thus creating a zero crossing right here and not clipping.
Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning.
Thinking about gating. I mean, I'm compressing the shit out of this.
Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray. Faithless new ones conjuring so clearly. Gone away.
All right, that's better. I don't care if it's 100% perfect or not. Okay, let's go in with effects and let's try to get this to gel a little bit and pop into the mix. So we've got vocal mono delay, which is kind of cool. Let's work with that mono delay and see what kind of what we can do here.
Lifeline skyline drawn across the city.
We're gonna use the send. You might as well go 100%.
Lifeline skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes countdown. Wheel keeps on turning.
I'm just kind of seeing which delay time feels like it gels best with the performance, excluding the mix, right?
Lifeline skyline drawn across the city. Underway. Minutes
I'm gonna use it more like a reverb. Okay, check this out, because delay is less expensive than reverb in terms of DSP. Oh wait, what? Okay, that's on the guitars. Okay, so let me just think here. Vocal delay.
Lifeline skyline drawn across the city.
So I put this at Unity. I'm just gonna adjust the send level on his voice.
Blind skyline drawn across the city. Underway.
Adds a nice length to his voice. So let's get maybe like another one here going. I'm gonna add an effects channel track, stereo out. I'm gonna call this I'm gonna do like a ping pong. Let's see what we come up with on this. I'm just going to go grab H delay. Turn that filth off. Analog. Dude, one day Waves, dude, is just going to like take a hit out on me for making fun of their analog. I'm just going to have some dudes in black suits show up and be like, on Mix Rescue at 11:23 East Central Standard Time, did you say that H delay's analog on is filth? Yes, I did. All right, so I'm going to just try like a quarter note lo-fi ping pong. Let's try sending to this and see what it happens. I need better jokes, man. I'm a little rusty. Come on, I've been on vacation for like a month and a half. It's good to be back. Miss doing this stuff. Boy, yeah, there it is. All right, let's see what happens.
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning.
Okay, let's see how that is. I'm just trying to hit it really subtle, and this might sound awesome in the mix. That might be stupid.
Blind skyline.
Let me turn this dude up.
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray. A faithless new one conjuring so clear.
I feel like I'm gelling with effects, but I still feel like I haven't got the EQ right. I'm about to rig my head through a cheese grater here, and okay. Let's figure this out. So then MB helped a lot. We're still getting a little bit muddy. Maybe we can grab some EQ or something. Let's see what we can do with EQ.
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray.
I don't know if boosting is the solution.
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray. Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway.
It doesn't matter how long you've been mixing. You have days where it's just like, man,
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on.
probably do it right and get rid of the stereo, huh? And go to the mono channel. All right, so he's really wispy, but we need all that top end, or else it sounds boxy. And I can't pull any mid range out of him without getting harsh. So let's see if we can find the formula.
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray. Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray.
I think that's a little bit better. I'm rolling off at like 7K with a low pass, which may seem ridiculous, but then I'm boosting at 8 and with a shelf. So I'm kind of trying to play the filter against the shelf to see if I can get some weird redistribution of frequencies that makes this a little bit better.
Blind skyline drawn across the sand. Underway.
I just added body in the vocals. Interesting, it worked. And it worked because I've cleaned up the problem areas, and then I just boosted a little 450, even though I'm cutting a bunch of it out right here. I'm seeming, because it's tighter, I'm seeming like it helps it gel a little better. You hear it? Listen.
Line skyline drawn across the city. On the way, minutes countdown, wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray, faithless new walls conjuring so clean. Gone away.
You know, it's not the best sounding vocal I've ever mixed, but to be honest, I'll take it because I feel like it's you know, that's the best we're gonna get out of it. You know what I mean? You got to know when to just be like, all right, that's what the vocal sounds like. I'm never gonna get perfect. So I feel better about that, you know, because we redistributed some frequencies, we added bottom, even though we tweaked a bunch of it, we cut highs, even though we rolled off highs, even though we added highs. Like, you know, you got to do some really weird frequency distribution, but that combined with the Lin MB, I think sounds a lot better because if you look from where we came from,
Still you pray.
it's harsh, it's muddy, it's a mess. Like there's no clarity.
Still you pray.
All right, let's do the corrosion of conformity rock and roll vocal. So maybe Robert Plant. He's got 2 compressors, 2-to-1 and a 3-to-1. Set with different attack times. Okay, I see what you're doing. Studio EQ. All right, I'm going back. I'm going back to town on this here. We got to send to get some parallel distortion, which I think is kind of dope. Yeah, a little Robert Planty here. So let me. I'm gonna do something here. You haven't seen me do yet. For a vocal like this, I don't like my doubles to be like the way a lot of times people do doubles. I'll explain what I mean here in a second. Let me just analyze this automation he's got on here and get rid of it. I'm gonna take both my vocals, I'm gonna put them at unity. Right? Okay, so we got a lot of delay send. Let me just take this down to like minus 22. Maybe like minus 22. Okay, I'm just deleting all of his fun stuff and I'm gonna simplify a little bit. Try a different approach. I'm gonna sandwich this shit together. This is something I like to do for rock vocals. It's really dope when it works. Put the harmony at -6. I'm gonna put this double at -4. I'm gonna slap the harmonies together. Okay, now I'm gonna make a vocal bus. I'm gonna make it stereo just in case I want to add some stuff. Come up here. I'm gonna route these 3 vocals to this group 8. I'll call this CH Vox GRP. It's a chorus vocal group. I'm going to get rid of all of these sends on these individual vocals, and we'll save the sends for the thing. Now, I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna go grab my SSL, and I'm going to smash these vocals into the same compressor. Let me see if I have my that's what happens when you rebuild your computer. All your awesome presets are gone. Okay, that's fine.
Where's your God now? Light Lie to me. Help me get away.
Smashing the shit out of him with a compressor.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Where's your God? Where's your God now? Where's your God? Where's your God now?
All right, I'm gonna go take a book, playbook from over here. Let me just save this EQ. We'll just call this MR Vox. I'm gonna try running a similar chain here. I'm gonna load MR Vox.
Where's your God?
I'm gonna pound the crap out of it with a linear multiband.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Where's your God?
All right.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Where's your God? Where's your God now?
This is one of those plugins where I just don't care if it hits the red. It sounds cool. So you might be looking at that meter being like, what the hell are you doing, Joel? And I kind of just don't give a shit. Like, I think it sounds good. So don't be afraid to hit your plugins. Sometimes, some really terrible when you throttle them like that. This one in particular, like, I've been running it into the red for years and it never felt like it's made it sound worse. So
Where's your God? Where's your God now?
yeah, this is a mess. This guy is a pain in the okay, this is definitely the dude singing on the wrong microphone for his voice. That's the deal right now. So I'm gonna copy the EQ over. Gonna copy the sends over.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me.
I'm gonna douse him in effects because he's sounding a little rough.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away. Where's your God? Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away.
It's de-esser.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away. Where's your God?
Feels a bit bright.
Where's your God? Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away. Lie to me. Everything will set me free.
here with the ooze. Soft panning for the win. All right, that ain't bad. Sounds cool. Except one's going to ascend. Vocal delay. No delay. That sounds nice. Okay, so let me check the verse going into the chorus here.
Gone away. Oh, oh, oh. Where's your God? Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away.
Starting to feel pretty classic rock.
Everything will set
Let's see what happens here.
my sins. Oh no.
Interesting. Hold on.
My sins are not for sale at the price of your fairy tale.
Let's see if I can do something more natural here. Maybe all the hyped vocal stuff is not the best thing to do here. So let me see if I can go with like a more natural version of it and see if I can maybe EQ it a little bit different. Because, man, all that compression is just pulling up every little artifact of the singer's voice. It sounds like he's gagging. So we gotta... What is going on here?
My sins are not for sale at the price of your fairy tale. World left in disarray. My
Okay, this is all good. I'm just gonna bring it up. Here, L2, just to change it up, because it doesn't matter.
my sins.
Except mono, because I'm stupid. L2. Check.
My sins are not for sale at the price of your fairy tale. World left in disarray.
See, I think having a totally different vocal tone here works because of like the way he's singing and like the dynamic of the song here. It doesn't work.
Still you pray.
It needs to be more pushed here.
My sins are not for sale at the price of your fairy tale. World left in disarray. Savior to abdicate.
Dude, hell yes. I'm so glad that that's in this song. I didn't expect him to go for that. That is cool. All right, let me see what happens. Fail. All right, let me jack this up. Oh, really? I don't know if the dude wanted to do that or not, but dude, you gotta cut that shit out when you're... That's awesome. I'm like, who's playing with their keys, man? All right. Okay, so let me think about this section here.
Are not for sale at the price of your fairy tale. Whoa, left in disarray.
I do need to brighten these up a little bit. These are a struggle.
Are not for sale at the price of your fairy tale. Whoa, left in disarray. Savior to
I mean, come on. It's pretty awesome. You got to do it. So I threw a wide send on there because there's a kind of a change in tone, but it works. Like, so the send kind of just makes it a little bit of a different part. It gives it a different attitude. Let me take this ping pong delay time down though, man. This is brutal. Savage. All through. Frequency I need to cut on something. I hear you. You will be defeated. Where are you? Symbols. Okay, there's one on guitars I want to pull. I'm just being OCD right now, pulling little stuff that's annoying.
help me get away. Lie to me.
I also think I have a little bit too much beef on the kick. Just a bit. Let's rock the master bus. Let's see what we can do.
Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away. Lie to me.
All right, FGX. Sometimes I love you, but today, no. Let me go for Ozone. Just want to try it. I don't know. There's too much variation. Like, I've got the mix sounding too natural and not tight enough, so the limiter in this might handle it slightly better. So, IRC2, threshold, margin, character, no transient recovery, a little bit of harmonic exciter. Not much. Let's see what's up.
Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me.
guitar is a little bit savage. Let me just pull it back the smallest amount. Ever so slight. Oh, yeah, we'll get that mono guitar. I've been looking at it and thinking about it, but I haven't had the balls to brave it yet.
Where's your God now? Lie to me. Lie to me. Help me get away.
We're raging hard. Let's see what's up with this mono guitar. So first things first. Nothing like something that's going to add a mega problem and throw it in the mix. So let's go like this. Let's narrow this thing down. First off, we're going to high pass this thing crazily. I just want that top swank on it. That's the only place I'm thinking I'm going to be able to fit it. I mean, it's in there, but... Makes the bass a little bit more savage. All right, I'll take it. Let me hear some vocals.
Lie to me. Help me get away. Minutes count down. Wheel keeps on turning. Still you pray.
So I feel like we're sounding fatter, clearer, more open. We're not pumping. It's gelled a little bit better. You know, is it a perfect mix? I don't think so. You know, I think the production and the tracking always make a huge difference in what you can get downstream. Like, for example, I think this guy's vocals maybe on something like a U87 would sound better. Now, that being said, that's a pretty expensive microphone. But he needs something with a little bit more upper mid-range to it so he doesn't get harsh and it sounds a little bit more like classic rock. It's a little bit wispy on top and a little bit fat or like muddy on the bottom. So I think because the mic we have, we're kind of limited to like what we can really pull out of the vocals. And I mean, I had a couple tricks left, but we were running out real fast. So I realized at some point we just need to settle and pick what we can get. You know, the drums I think are sounding fat and more gelling like a kit. You know, the bass is the bass. He had a pretty good bass mix. I liked his bass mix for sure. Guitars are a little bit cleaner, a little bit wider. You know, very 90s sounding and. Yeah, you know, I mean, I definitely have it mastered about 4,000 dB louder than a 90s mix. But yeah, I mean, for me right now, this mix is rescued. And, you know, could we eke another % or two out? Probably. But I think, you know, if we really want to get down to it, if we 90-10 it, at this point, I'd send it to the artist and be like, all right, well, what do you think? Where you at? You know, like, how do you feel about the mix? Because we could sit here and, you know, tweak all this little stuff. But it may or may not make the mix sound any better. But it will take a lot of time. So, questions?
I am not seeing any questions on my end.
All right. Well, if no, here's your chance for questions. If you guys don't have any questions, I'll give you guys like 2 minutes. In the meantime, like I said, you guys probably want to come check out the summit. It's nailthemix.com/summit. We have an insane lineup. We've got Finn McKenty, former director of Creative Live's audio channel, now head of marketing at URM and one of the smartest marketing dudes I know, also in charge of the punk rock MBA. He does marketing for all kinds of amazing brands and stuff like that. Very, very smart dude. He's going to be coming on, teaching you guys all kind of stuff. We got Billy Decker is going to come on, teach you some mixing stuff. Kane Turco is going to do some producing and songwriting stuff with you guys. Brian Hood's going to teach you all about music business and things like that. Me, Al, and Joey are all going to be doing different things. We've got Fluff is going to come in and talk about social media and how to grow and channels and you know, things like that. I'm missing some people, but you know, you get the gist. I mean, this summit's going to be awesome. It's going to be a couple of days of just hardcore stuff. Tons of knowledge bombs. This is stuff that no one else has heard. You're not going to get anywhere else. So, do we have any questions, Joe?
We do not. No.
All right. Well, then in the meantime, nailthemix.com/summit. I'm going to go get lunch, and I'll be back to do July's Mix Rescue here. Maybe, let's see, what time is it now? Maybe in about an hour from now. So yeah, about 1:30 Central Standard Time. So yeah, 1 hour if you guys want to return. We're gonna have the Mix Rescue event then for July. So
hold on. Oh, we got a question that just came in.
Shoot.
Rufus wants to ask, what were you finding you disliked about FGX when you changed it for Ozone?
Good question. The answer is I couldn't get it as loud as I wanted to without it distorting. Okay, so when I was turning up FGX, I mean, to get it where I felt like it was pumping and bumping, like it was just slamming, and the mix sounded huge and like nice and loud and clear. FGX was just kind of like distorting out a little bit, and it was a little bit too soft for how I wanted. So Ozone can be a little bit more aggressive, but a little bit more narrow. So in this particular case, I was able to get a little bit more of what I wanted out of the mix with Ozone as opposed to FGX. I hope that helps. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go take lunch. I'll be back in an hour to do Mix Rescue for July 2017. We're going to do something fun. I'll tell you about it in a little bit. So I'll see you in an hour, and thanks for hanging out, and hopefully this has been beneficial to you. So cheers.